here's what I think Republicans are missing as they critique Newsom's performance. He's not doing the standard thing. That is what the mood of the electorate. They don't want business as usual. And liberals who don't like Donald Trump, they want somebody trying something new because Donald Trump continues to win. He's won 2 out of 3 presidential races. Yes, he's lost Congress at times, and he's not won every midterm election. But he's winning right now. The fight against universities, the fight against law firms, the fight against liberal corporate America, the fight against the Kennedy Center, the fight against the federal bureaucracy. What people want is not business as usual. So when Donald Trump, the last 10 years, has done stuff that's not conventional and taken on things like companies, his supporters have said, good, do something different. That's exactly what Gavin Newsom's doing on his Twitter feed. It's exactly what he's doing vis-a-vis Bed Bath & Beyond, and it's striking a chord with some liberals. Now, when I say Gavin Newsom's alone in tier 1, I hear a lot of people on the right say that's ridiculous. That's not right. He's such a horrible governor, a horrible person, etc. You may recall, if you're a longtime Nexter, that episode 2 of this program featured in my interview with Gavin Newsom. And in that conversation, I presented to him what I called the 4 myths, the 4 things about Gavin Newsom that his detractors, mostly on the right, but some in the center and left, think about Gavin Newsom that I think are wrong. Now, this will make many of you angry, but I'm telling you, I've known Gavin Newsom. I've covered him. I've studied his career. And these are myths, okay? So stay with me because this guy could be the Democratic nominee for president. And if you're on the right, you want to know, what's he like? What's the truth? Because the voters are going to seek out the truth, not the spin. And if you're on the left, you also should know the truth about the guy who you're thinking about making your candidate. Myth number 1, Gavin Newsom is super liberal. He's liberal on everything. Now, he'll tell you on abortion rights, on gay rights, he's as liberal as they come. But it's a myth to say that Gavin Newsom is liberal on everything. Take, for example, his interview with Charlie Kirk, where he made some comments about trans athletes in sports that rubbed people on the left and in the wrong way, and some people on the right thought were phony. On some cultural issues, on crime, he's not an ultra-liberal. And on economics, he will tell you his record is nuanced. I'm not saying he's the most conservative, but here's Gavin Newsom talking about the notion that he's extremely liberal on everything. This is S5, please.
I'm a pragmatist. I'm a small business owner. I've created 22 small businesses, taking pen to paper, close to 1,000 people that I've had the privilege of employing in the state. I've had an entrepreneurial mindset. I embrace innovation and free enterprise. And so this notion that I'm a wild-haired liberal is just nonsense. That said, on progressive social issues, I stand tall and firm in terms of my advocacy.
Again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Can you look at Gavin Newsom's record as governor of California and find lots of liberal positions, liberal bills he signed into law, liberal statements he's made? Yes, you can. But that doesn't make him the most liberal person in the Democratic Party. It's a liberal party, and it's moved far to the left. He's run businesses. He's started businesses. He signed the front of paychecks. That doesn't make him, Donald Trump. It doesn't make him Tom Cotton. But it does mean that he's not a doctrinaire liberal on economics and some social issues. And I'm telling you, don't flood me with messages saying he's so liberal, he's crazy liberal, the state's so liberal, that's the reason Bed Bath & Beyond closed. He's liberal, but compared to other Democrats who might run for president on plenty of issues, he's more moderate. All right, second myth that I talked to Gavin Newsom about, all these are still germane, is that he's a pretty boy know-nothing, that he's not a serious person, that he doesn't know about policy. Go read his book about the digital economy, the digital society, which came out well ahead of the curve. Do I think he's handsome? I do. Not my type, but I do. Do I think that he is the smartest person I've ever met? No. But I met a lot of smart people. But it is a myth to say that he's a pretty boy who's never accomplished anything, who's not serious about policy. Here's Gavin Newsom on myth 2.
It's been a point of pride, what we've done in California as it relates to advancing public policy through a lens of good public policy mindset, meaning our commitment to the best politics is a better idea, and our commitment to be pragmatic, not ideological in terms of pursuit of public policy. But it's absolutely untrue that I wake up with sort of a Geiger or some sort of political lens to every decision I make. It's just total BS.
Yeah, again, part of this myth he referenced there is that he's just a calculating politician, that he's just a pretty boy idiot who's calculating. He's all about ambition. Okay, now again, please don't send me emails and texts and go on Twitter and say, Mark Halperin says Gavin Newsom is the most substantive, serious person and he's a genius and blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a myth to say that he's a pretty boy dunderhead who's all ambition, doesn't care about public policy. Go have a public policy conversation with him about homelessness or crime. He can do it. Okay. Next myth. California has completely failed. Now, there's lots of signs of that. There's homelessness. There are drug problems. There's crime. It's also a state where, on his watch, two-term governor, they've had some success. Now you can say, well, it's all having to do with the private sector. Well, governors get some of the credit when things go well. Has he done things in terms of public policy that business would say have hurt business? Yes, yes, yes. Don't overreact to this myth. What I'm saying is, if he runs for president to win the Democratic nomination, and then separate question, can he win a general election? There are successful things that have happened in California on his watch. Not 100%. He's not the most successful governor of all time. A lot of people in California, including Democrats, don't think he's been that successful. But don't fall into the trap of saying that California is 100% failed. Fifth largest economy in the world. It's grown on his watch. He had something to do with it. S8.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if I'm representing a failed state, it's the fourth largest economy in the world. We dominate in every critical category. We continue to grow. We continue to outperform. We're a wealth-making machine. We're a state, by the way. I'm so sick and tired of the mythology that we're a high-tax state. It's just a lie. It's made up. 16 states tax their low-wage earners more than the state of California.
Okay, fourth largest economy, he says. I think it toggles back and forth, but he's probably right. It's fourth now. Again, if he runs for president in the context of the Democratic process for the party, and then if he's the nominee in the general, there'll be a robust debate about how California did. But it doesn't serve the debate, and it's inaccurate to say on his watch, California is just a failure on everything. There are lots of failures, and believe me, you'll hear about them if he runs. You hear about them now. But it is wrong to say that on his watch, the state has been destroyed, because there's still a lot going on in California. Silicon Valley, Hollywood, fourth largest economy in the world. There's a lot going on there. He's had something to do with it. The last myth is the one that I think is the most misunderstood. I'm the only one who thinks Gavin Newsom might not run for president. Everybody else says, of course, he's running. And to be clear, he's talking to people now about a campaign. He's hiring people or asking people if they'd be available. He's building a very strong team if he decides to run. And I think he may enter the race and then decide to get out. But there are lots of reasons why I'm skeptical that he'll run, having to do with my reporting, private reporting with people close to him who've talked about his ambivalence, his family's ambivalence. But listen to what he said to me on this myth that he is 100% running about his daughter. This is S7, please.
Oh my gosh, I had my oldest daughter last night. She's 15, almost in tears, because she can't take it anymore, because she's got someone now with her because of the world we're living in. Ted was talking about that on your show a couple days ago. Things have radically changed. She said, Dad, I can't take it anymore. When are you done with this? Give us our life back. No, it's very intense and emotional.
People say, if he decides to run, he's not going to give a crap about what his daughter thinks. I'm telling you, he's a caring dad. Any family runs for president. You think her life has been disrupted by being with a small security detail that the daughter of the governor of California gets? If he runs for president, her access to privacy, her access to anonymity, her access to go to the mall, it's over. It's over for as long as he's president. And it's deeply changed for the rest of her life. So that one story really resonant for me. I know you all, many of you all listening, of course he's running. Why is he doing all the things he's doing now? He's keeping his options open. I may be wrong. My gut may be wrong. My sources may be wrong. Maybe he'll run. But I'm telling you, there's reasons to believe, he said it right there, that he may not run. And there are plenty of people who do all sorts of things to prepare to run for president. They hire teams, they start organizations, they travel to the early voting states, and then they don't run. So I'll say myth number 4, don't be 100% certain he's going to run. Okay? Now, this stuff he's doing currently, fighting Trump on the fires, aftermath, fighting Trump on redistricting in particular, doing all this stuff on social media, elites love it. The press loves it. He's gotten stories in every publication in America about this strategy. I'm talking about it now. You get to see quotes from people, prominent strategists saying this is great, academics, liberal academics saying this is why this is so great. I don't know that we know the voters think it's so great. Here's a poll that Politico did in the midst of all of this. It's happening every day, so maybe opinion will change. But here's a poll from Politico. They asked Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents in California, who do you like for your nominee in 2028? Now, Newsom is first. 25%. This is amongst California voters. Kamala Harris 6 points behind him. And then they asked influencers, and the influencers said, yeah, 14%. It's California voters. Now you say, well, he's first. He's only up by over Kamala Harris by 6 points. And we all know what happened to her public image. And only a quarter of them said him. And then you see Buttigieg and AOC and others below there. I don't think this poll is great for him. I think this poll confirms my suspicion that maybe the voters aren't as into this social media stuff and this Trump mocking stuff as the elites are. Getting the support from elites is important. But this poll to me says this is not some revolutionary thing. You can be the front runner at this stage without having voters before you, because now it's about the donors and the strategists, etc. So I'm not sure he's going to run, and I'm not sure that by every measure he'll stay the front runner. And of course, in the end, the voters are what matter. There's other things I want you to think about when you think about Gavin Newsom that aren't being talked about that would downgrade his possibilities. I'll say again, I've been talking about it all week. He's alone in the first tier. But let me tell you some things that aren't being talked about, that if you want to think about Gavin Newsom's prospects to be the Democratic nominee, to win a general election, you should think about it. First of all, it's very hard to run for president from California. Now, in the digital age, you can communicate with the whole country digitally, and he's as good at that as anybody. On social media, he hosts these live video calls, like video town halls. But if he wants to start campaigning in New Hampshire and South Carolina, that's a long haul. Time difference, distance, it's hard. So that's one thing you got to consider. I've watched other Californians run for president. It ain't easy. Now, he'll be out of office for a part of it, but unless he's going to move his family, that's a challenge. Second, I don't know if I call this a dirty little secret, a secret, or just dirty, but other politicians in the party don't like him much. He has not courted people, even in his own state, but around the country, nearly as much. People like Wes Moore, governor of Maryland, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, they're more popular with the other governors. And that matters. It matters for fundraising. It matters because the other governors may settle on one candidate who they want to be the consensus choice, the way the Republicans settled on George W. Bush in 2000. So watch to see if Gavin Newsom, as he has success, watch to see if other folks in the party rally to him, other politicians, or they decide they need to stop him because they don't like him. So that's another factor. Another factor, dealing with scrutiny. Okay, Patty Solis Doyle and I talked about this last episode. Everybody who runs for president has to get braced for a higher level of scrutiny. Even the governor of California, one of the biggest and most visible jobs in American politics, he's going to get scrutiny. I've already seen it on social media today. And some of the stories are no secret, but they'll be a surprise to most Democratic voters in places like South Carolina about his conduct when he was running for office, when he was in office. I saw a tweet today, a news story reminding people about his personal life when he was the mayor of San Francisco. That's the stuff we know about that's going to be recycled. And I'm not going to talk about the other stuff that may come up today. And I'm sure there's stuff I don't even know about. I had no idea about some things about George Bush and Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, when they ran, even though they'd been in public office. So watch that and watch to see how he handles that, and watch to see if he's confronted with some of that stuff early on, whether he pulls back from running. Everybody needs to calm down, okay? This guy may run. Everybody but me thinks he'll definitely run. This guy will be scrutinized. This guy has a record that's mixed. But calm down. Calm down about Gavin Newsom. Don't say he's too failed, he's too liberal, he's too pretty, he's too ambitious to win. He might not, but don't prejudge it. Gavin Newsom is not as great as his supporters say he is, and he's not as bad as a lot of folks think he is. He's a guy who's on a great roll with this new social media strategy. He's a guy who's letting his inner, authentic self show more in public, and he's a guy who's letting it rip in an authentic way against Donald Trump. And right now, the reason he's alone in the first tier is there's one standard in the Democratic Party that at least the elites are attracted to. Are you ready to fight every day in every way, in the courts, on social media, with the press, with the voters? Are you willing to fight every day to try to contain Donald Trump? And Gavin Newsom is doing it better and more effectively. The 3 A's, he's getting attention, he's being active, and he's showing his authentic self. Trust me, this is his authentic self. Gavin Newsom showed courage coming out well before Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Hillary, and Bill Clinton did on gay marriage. Go study that. Study that example. If you think he's a soft, feckless, pretty boy, go study his career. This is a guy who understands the game of politics, understands media, understands digital. I'm not predicting he'll win. And I'm not predicting he'll run. But there's a reason why I have him in the top tier by himself right now. Here's a question for you. You got to think about this. Is the continued divide between the Trump administration and the Federal Reserve putting us all potentially behind the curve again? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time? Or are we all going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what would that mean for your savings? Consider then diversifying with gold through the folks at Birch Gold Group. For decades now, gold has been viewed as a safe haven whenever there's economic stagnation, global uncertainty, or high inflation. Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings right into gold. If you've got an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Another option, buy some gold to keep in your safe. But first, before you make that choice, get some education. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit about gold. Just text the word NEXT to the number 989898. Again, text the word NEXT to 989898. Consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. That way, if the Federal Reserve can't stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead of the curve for yourself.